guys, welcome back to my channel. So as you could probably tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be talking about anxiety. Now this is something that is very close to home for me. It's something that I still struggle with daily, but I have somehow miraculously managed to, I don't know, figure out what works for me, and I'm really excited to actually share this with you guys because you never know who suffers with anxiety, and you never know if maybe 5 seconds of your advice could actually change someone's life or outlook on how they approach their anxiety, because it is something that is incredibly hard to tackle, and I'm not the type of person that I like to tell people what to do, but when it comes to these kinds of things, I do like to share my knowledge. So if you are interested in watching the rest of this video, please subscribe before you sit down with a snack or a cup of coffee, because it's probably going to be a little bit of a lengthy video. I am speaking from experience. I unfortunately have had anxiety and on and off depression for at least 10 years. I'm 25. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 14. It was something that was very rough for me to deal with. I missed a lot of school. I was very introverted. People thought I was incredibly weird, that I was like this emo kid. It was just a really tough time for me to go through that, and I went through it alone because I didn't like to talk about my feelings. So I like to think that I have quite a bit of experience on this topic. So if this is something that you'd like to keep on watching, make sure that you sit down with a snack. It's probably going to be a lengthy one, and make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already to keep on top of my uploads every week. Now the first thing that I want to tackle is, what is anxiety? You might not know what anxiety is if you're watching this video, and it's not very uncommon that people don't really know what anxiety is. There is a big family, if you want to call it, a big family of family members in the group of anxiety. So I'm just going to butt off a few things that are in that family of this mental health condition. So one of the first things is generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, agoraphobia, social anxiety disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. Now generalized anxiety disorder is probably one of the most common out of that family of anxiety disorders, and it's normally categorized by persistent and excessive worrying. Now when I say worrying, it's normally about just daily things like events that you might be going to, activities with work friends, even friends that you're really close with, family. And normally when you're in those situations, you find it's just really hard to control things, and I'll get more into that as I go in more in depth on what I suffer with. Now that we've gone through a basic description of what anxiety is, now you can go and Google it for yourself. There are so many descriptions of what anxiety is, but basically what I just said in that short sentence, that's basically what anxiety is. Now I'm going to touch base on the signs of anxiety. Now I've just picked out a few things that I can relate to. There is a whole list, again, if you go and Google it, which we're all guilty of. Go and Google it, see if you can resonate with some of the things that are being listed. There are some really good mental health websites that I'll link down below where you can actually trust what they say. One of the first signs for me when it came to anxiety was excessive worrying. I worry about everything. I overthink everything. Someone could say something different, like for example, if I was at work and someone was like, hey Amy, like, do you mind if you do this this way? I noticed you do it this way and I just don't really like how it's done that way. If we could just do it this way. I will instantly take that as, oh my god, that person hates me. Why did they come at me with that approach? Am I doing something wrong? Am I going to lose my job? That is basically my train of thought with every single situation, day in, day out. One of the other signs is feeling restless and constantly on edge. I feel like I cannot relax. When I go to bed, I have thoughts in my head all the time. If I was to have a fight with a friend or with Declan, or I just had a shitty day and I was overthinking something at work, it could take me a solid hour to get to sleep when I was dealing with anxiety at its peak. Another sign of anxiety was feeling tired all the time, no energy, absolutely none. had no energy to film, no energy to really go to work, but I would go to work because I would feel bad if I called in sick, because I would then think that I would get fired because I'm overthinking things. So yeah, constantly tired, just feeling super fatigued. Another big sign for me was being irritable, and along with that was just a heart that felt like it was beating outside of my chest. I'm not sure if those two were connected, but when I am having, I guess, a panic attack, I haven't had many, but when I do have panic attacks, I tend to feel like my heart is beating out of its chest. Like if you were to go running and your heart is just pumping through the blood and you can literally feel it. That's what I would feel like, but being in a calm state, and just super irritable. I can't sit down and relax. I like constantly just thinking, like having to do something, having to just keep my mind distracted from overthinking. Super irritable. And one of the biggest signs for me, and I've been like this basically my whole life, and I do also like to use my astrology side of things and say, because I am a Cancerian and I am a water sign, I am so emotional. But this one thing is probably something that I'm still working on, and it is constantly seeking reassurance from people. I find it really hard to say no to people. I have to please people. It's something that I just cannot kick. I constantly have to be like, oh, I know I said it this way, but I actually meant it this way. I hope I didn't hurt your feelings. Or constantly having to explain why I'm doing things when really the other person probably doesn't even care. Like they probably totally get why I said or did something, but I have to overthink it and be like, oh, like just in case you're offended, like I didn't mean it. Now I'm just going to go through a list of things that have helped me with my anxiety. Now probably the last 2 years, I want to say just before I fell pregnant with Austin, I definitely started to work on my mental health without using medication. I am not really for medication, but obviously there are some people out there that need medication. I at one stage was that person that needed medication, especially when it came to my social anxiety. I could not leave the house after I had Austin. I felt super anxious, which also is quite normal, but I started to get the beating chest, feeling my heart outside of my body, so to speak. So I was on medication for 2 months and I regretted it instantly. I felt incredibly numb. I had no emotion. I had really bad insomnia. I couldn't sleep. So imagine that with a newborn. I was struggling with breastfeeding and I had to take the lowest dose possible because I didn't want to put medication into Austin. I just felt incredibly guilty. So I was on medication for 2 months. Probably the last 2 years I've been on medication for 2 months. That's it. Prior to that, I was on a medication called Lexapro, which made me incredibly suicidal. I was probably on that for 2 years on and off. I didn't take it every day like I probably should have because it made me incredibly suicidal, which unfortunately is a side effect when you do take antidepressants. And I just decided to wean myself off. I didn't think that it was necessary. I thought that I would try different things. I did a lot of research for myself and I read that diet and exercise could actually help a lot with depression and anxiety. So that being the first thing, medication, I do agree that it can help. Just be careful with taking medication. I would suggest taking the lowest dosage ever, and then kind of working your way up if the lowest dosage isn't right for you. Obviously listen to your doctor. Sometimes from my experience, doctors will just give you antidepressants. Don't go to that doctor if they're willing to do that. See a doctor that actually cares about you. And make sure that if you are getting suicidal thoughts or you're feeling just not right about the medication that you're on, definitely go and see your doctor again and see if there's more of a natural way that you can deal with your anxiety. So coming from the first thing, the second thing that I find helps with my anxiety is exercise. And just being outside really. When I am overwhelmed and I'm feeling incredibly anxious, I will need to go for a walk, or I will go to the beach, which is only about half an hour drive from where I live. So I'm really grateful in that way. I love being by the ocean just to kind of recharge. But if I have Austin and I'm unable to have Declan home watching him, or I'm unable to, you know, reach out to mum and be like, hey, can you have him for an hour? I will normally just go for a walk with the pram, put my headphones in and that would just recharge me. I would just feel a lot better. The third thing is focusing on the present, which is really hard to do when you have anxiety, but because I have been, you know, working so hard on fixing my anxiety, with exercise comes, I guess, the ability to just see in the present, not think of everything so in detail. I find when I'm out walking or I'm near the beach, I'll just be grateful for things that are in the present. I will make note of things that are going on in my life. For example, I have a job. Having a job these days is something that you should definitely not take for granted. I have a home. Again, should not take that for granted. There's so many people out there that are homeless. I have a healthy child, healthy pets, I'm healthy, I have a partner that's healthy, my family's healthy. And I find when I just think about those things and not think too much in the past or in the future, I don't get triggered so much, and I find that that tends to just calm me. And when I'm calm, I tend to have more of a positive outlook on things, and I just bring that into my daily life. I wake up every morning grateful. I say it to myself, I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, and that just helps. Doing that every day helps so much, and it's actually proven that saying those things over and over and over, or writing it on your mirror somewhere where you'll see it every day, it actually helps. It helps so much, because our brain is the most important organ, in my opinion, and I think it's so important to somewhat manipulate it. When we're feeling super negative and down, manipulate it. Be positive, talk so much positivity that you want to vomit because you're being so positive. The next step is eating well and sleeping well. Now, sleeping well for most people these days is incredibly hard. Whether you're a mum or you're, you know, a student, or you're working really hard, you have crazy hours, it is really hard, but do try and get at least 6 hours. Anything under 6 hours can make you clinically insane, and you could murder someone. Not even joking, that's 100% serious. So try and get at least 6 hours a night of unbroken sleep, whether you have to listen to a music app, have headphones in, I don't know, whatever. Just try and really get a solid amount of sleep, and eat well. Eat things that are not processed or in packages. Obviously, we all have days where we're just not feeling the best, so we'll go and get KFC, or we'll go and eat noodles for dinner because we cannot be bothered. That's okay, 100% normal, but make sure that you're not doing that day in, day out, because eating bad processed food, I can't believe I'm even saying this because I love processed food, but it is so bad for you. It's not only bad for your skin, your insides, just your overall energy levels. It's bad for your brain. It makes your brain sluggish, and it's just not good. So try and eat healthy. The next thing is facing your fears. Now, this has been a goal of mine. In 2018, I set a goal to face my fears. I have really bad social anxiety, so one of my baby steps, because I do like to say set baby steps, don't set goals, set baby steps to a goal. I find that that's less like triggering to someone that has anxiety. So for instance, 2018, my baby step goal was to go to more events, ask more questions. Normally if I'm at an event, I'll just sit there and be the quiet weird person, but I've definitely made an effort to get more involved in conversation, even if it's asking like, hey, how have you been? Last time I saw you, you mentioned this, like, how's that going? Even if it's not something that's super important, at least make the effort to, you know, be a little bit more extroverted, because I find a lot of people with social anxiety are very introverted. So I've made so many baby steps. I made a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm literally talking to you right now. I would not talk to someone like this in real life. Like, I just wouldn't. I've had so many people that I know say that I'm so confident on camera, and then when they're with me in person, like, I'm so quiet. So this is a big baby step for me. The fact that I'm actually talking on camera is huge. So make baby steps, and you will find that you will be smashing goals. The more that you make those baby steps, the more bigger goals you will be smashing, trust me. And the last thing that has helped me through my anxiety journey is meditation. Now, meditation has been something that I have been fighting with for a while. I find it really hard to meditate. I cannot clear the thoughts in my head. My biggest word of advice is, if you have tried the steps that I have just listed before this last step, then it's probably time for you to try meditation. If you can stop your negative thoughts and make them into a positive, if you can stop overthinking and focus in the present, then you most likely could potentially meditate. I find it really hard. I find when I was Googling a lot of things, when I was trying to find ways to focus and not be so anxious, one of the top things that was in those articles or those blogs or whatever was to meditate. Telling an anxious person to meditate is not a good move. I feel like you need to make a lot of baby steps to be able to even try meditation. I'm slowly getting to the point where I'm able to not have voices and my own thoughts in my head. I'm still working on it. I can probably meditate for a few minutes. I'll just sit down and deep breath, meditate, but I am hoping this year to set up my office as a meditation relaxing room. Probably get like a sound system so I can actually have music, like a yoga mat, candles, incense, salt lamps, all of that, you know, relaxing stuff. So that is my goal for this year, to meditate more. I am trying. I've gotten so much better, so that's a baby step. So yeah, so with that all said and done, guys, that's my video. That's just a little bit of a snippet into my anxiety journey. I'm not sure if this is something that you guys are interested in hearing more about. I have so many stories about depression and anxiety, and I've been through such a big personal journey with myself, especially the last year. I want to say I've done so much. I'm a different person. I really am. And to be honest with you, I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff. I don't think a lot of people talk about it. So I would love to talk about this more. If it's something that you are interested in, give me a comment down below. Give this video a like so I know that you like this type of content. Again, I've just touched base on things that work for me, the signs that I had. I just want to touch base again. I'm not against medication, but I do think if you are the type of person where you can be off medication, definitely choose that way of things before medication, because I think medication is so, it's just handed out like lollies these days, and I think you really need to look after yourself, and sometimes medication can make things worse. Hey guys, so here I am at the end of the video. Classic me, I've forgotten to do an outro again. I'm just editing the video that you're watching now. I just want to say thank you for actually watching this video. It's something that I really, I don't know if I did a good job, because I'm editing it now and I'm just stuttering so much through it, because it is such an important topic and it is a very serious mental health condition. And I honestly wanted to film the video again to kind of make it more proper, but to be honest with you, it's in the moment. I'm very anxious about filming it, so I mean it's fitting to the video, and I hope that you learnt something whilst watching it. If you have any suggestions down below, make sure you comment in the comment section things that help you with your anxiety or your OCD or your PTSD. I'd love to hear other things that people do. I love learning new ways to calm myself down, and those are just some things that work for me. They may not work for you, just remember that. So with all of that out of the way, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure that you have a great day wherever you are. Make sure you do, write it down. Have a great day, positive vibes. I'm sending them all out to you, and I will see you guys when I see you again. Bye.